Hey everybody, welcome to the Mr. Maple Show. I'm Brian.
And I'm Tim. We're MrMaple.com, a mail order business. We ship directly to your door. We do over 1,000 varieties of Japanese maples, and we're a small family business, but we really have a lot of cool varieties.
Definitely.
And one thing to do is go to MrMaple.com. We add 10 new trees every single Tuesday. If you like Japanese maples, go check it out. 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We add a lot of cool Japanese maples.
And also make sure you like and subscribe to the Mr. Maple Show. We do a new video every day of the week. It's amazing how much content we're putting out on this channel. I mean, we're just constantly thinking, what can we do next, right? Because I know you guys keep coming back and watching this stuff. So I'm a maple geek. I know all you guys are too. So we're really excited to just keep bringing this content, and spring's just around the corner. So we're going to keep upping our game, and we're going to have some awesome videos coming. But today's video is another cultivar highlight today. We're excited to share with you guys. What do we got, Tim?
We've got Acer palmatum, Rhode Island Red.
Rhode Island Red. I mean, this is a great dwarf red. Think about that blood good that you know is a classic tree, but this is a dwarf version of that. So it's just an amazing concept to think that you can have such an amazing color and style in your garden, but in a nice compact shape.
Yeah, this was originally found as a witch's broom by Rhode Island Nursery. People often think it's named after the chicken, the Rhode Island Red chicken, but it was found by Rhode Island Nursery. And they just found this as this dwarfer compact blood good. And they're like, wow, this is pretty amazing. Let's propagate it. Well, the thing I love about this is everybody is always going out there and they have a blood good or a blood good seedling, or red Japanese maple they call a blood good.
Right.
It's not really blood good half the time. But they've got a red Japanese maple with that larger leaf, and they're trying to make it a dwarf, and they're out there shearing the thing.
Yeah.
And they take hedge trimmers and they're out there butchering, creating a maple massacre, trying to get this little perfect little ball. Rhode Island Red does that without the butchering. I mean, it has a perfect shape, and it's not going to have those hedge trimmer scars all over the plant. So it's what a lot of those people are looking for. They just don't know this tree exists.
Yeah, I mean, the gardens around America, especially here, are getting smaller and smaller. I mean, the lots aren't as big. Your landscaping area is not as big. So this is a perfect example of how to use something that's going to fit your space without having to do a lot of work to it. Like you said, I mean, you don't have to get out here and prune this every year. This is something that's going to stay small and compact. You can put it up close to the house. You can put it in so many different situations. And one of the great things I've seen a lot of people do with it is put it in containers.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the best ways to grow this plant because it just looks so perfect in a container. I mean, it's got that perfectly round shape, and it really adds something in the garden. I mean, the unique shape of this that this makes, I mean, you don't have to train this to make that perfect shape.
Yeah.
It's going to make that perfectly round ball all by itself. They're typically very uniform in their growth habit. And this is a plant that is very unique and very different. Now with containers, there's lots of things you can do to have success growing a Rhode Island Red in a container.
Yeah, I mean, one of the key factors for that starting out is the container, right? I mean, you got to get the container right. It's got to have plenty of drainage in the bottom. Make sure that it's got holes down there for that water to run through. And you don't want to put it on a tray where that water just stands at the bottom of that. You're going to cause some root rot to set in on that. That's definitely something we've seen a lot of people do that, even though we say it all the time. It's a very common mistake with that. And then the next part is the soil, right?
Yep. Yeah, and the soil, you always want to make sure you have good drainage. I mean, drainage is paramount. If you starts with the soil and flows all the way down through the pot and continues through the bottom of the pot, if you're putting water in that plant and that pot and it's not flowing through the bottom after just a little bit, you're doing it wrong. You got to make sure it flows all the way through the bottom, and that's going to make a healthy tree in a container. But we've got a whole podcast on how to grow Japanese maples in containers. Go check that out. We've got a lot of great tips, and Rhode Island Red is an excellent. I mean, it's one of the best ones for those containers. It can be trained as bonsai. I think we put this in one of our top Japanese maples for bonsai videos. And this plant is amazing. The colors on it are very much like what you'd get with bloodgood. It has that bloodgood style leaf, that little bit larger leaf. You get a cherry red when you give it more sunlight in the early spring. I think there was a time when I went and photographed it just leafing out at the J.C. Rouston Arboretum.
Yeah.
I mean, and that color is exquisite. And that's in Raleigh, North Carolina in the springtime. And then this plant goes to more of that deep maroon during the summer. Late summer, it may get a little green red if you're giving it a lot of sunlight. And then in the fall, you typically get a very good fall color of a bright red out of Rhode Island Red. In the hotter parts of the South, you may need to give this some protection from the hot afternoon sun. Treat it very much like you would a bloodgood Japanese maple, because this is a dwarf version of Bloodgood.
Yeah.
I mean, if they'd have called this Dwarf Bloodgood, it'd been a lot of confusion.
Right.
Because there's everyone selling seedlings from Bloodgood as Dwarf Bloodgood.
Right.
So I'm glad they renamed it Rhode Island Red, but the marketing term for this really is, it's a Dwarf Bloodgood, because that's exactly what this thing is. It's got that same style leaf. It gets a really thick trunk to it at an early age.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen someone locally here in Weaverville who actually trained this as a bonsai, and it looks spectacular. They'd done some air layers off of a Rhode Island Red. This is a plant you can use in so many different ways, and I think its tight, compact habit and its color really makes this tree stand out.
Absolutely. And, you know, even planted out in the landscape, I know we talked a lot about bonsai and container, but this out in the landscape just makes a beautiful specimen. I saw the pictures online that we had of Talon Buckholz's garden. I mean, this thing is absolutely stunning out there, just beautiful, bold tree standing out there. I love the way this texture and shape of this, you know, and it just has a very natural feel out there in the landscape.
It does, and it gets about 5 feet tall, about 6 to 7 foot wide, so a little bit wider than it does tall. So it makes a really unique specimen, not your cascading umbrella habit, more of that ball shape with a lot of lateral branches to it, and very tight and dense. I mean, the shape on these, they're perfect. Great for containers, but also out in the landscape. They give just a unique feel and a unique texture, and there doesn't require much pruning. I mean, you could prune if you want to, try to encourage growth, but it's going to make that perfect shape all by itself. So it's a maintenance-free tree for the landscape, or an easy one to grow in a container that's going to have a perfect shape.
Yeah, man, we hope you guys appreciated this cultivar highlight today. Rhode Island Red, I mean, it's definitely one that I think should be in so many gardens. You know, you don't see it out there enough. It works in so many different landscapes, and just a great tree overall, and we're excited to share it with you.
Yeah, and if you see this tree currently sold out on the website, fear not. We always try to make Rhode Island Red available on Mr. Maple. Click the Notify Me button, put your email address in there, and we'll notify you when it becomes available again. We have 10 new trees every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on MrMaple.com. If you love Japanese maples, go check us out every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Take care.
God bless.
And have a great day.